The confirmation hearing for Todd Blanche to be Attorney General continues, but Thom Tillis, the backstabbing rhino Republican who won't vote for the SAVE Act, said he wouldn't support Todd Blanche unless he met with the Epstein victims. We're going to expose all of that and bust Biden as the real perpetrator.
And that's what the Biden administration was doing. It was just allowing these sex traffickers and other kind of traffickers. A lot of them were sent to work at slaughterhouses. And
by the end of this video, watch.
Blanche said very quickly yesterday that he would meet with the victims, the Epstein victims, today, if it could be arranged. I expect that meeting to occur before I'm willing to vote out of this committee. And I'm trying to get to yes. But this is a very important part of getting to yes.
So that was Thom Tillis talking to an Epstein victim who Thom Tillis did this big giant parade saying he wouldn't support Todd Blanche unless he agreed to meet with the Epstein victims, which is just a total fake. This is Democrats or rhinos pretending to care about victims when we all know they don't.
You didn't sort of get that with the context. This is day 2 of Todd Blanche's confirmation hearing, and among the witnesses are victims of Jeffrey Epstein.
That's right. That's right. And this example of also the handling of the Epstein investigation, when you hear the senator's questions, I think what they're getting at is, you are the president's former personal lawyer, right? Are you going to prioritize justice? Are you going to prioritize actually leading the Justice Department?
This fraud does not care about justice or victims. It's CNN. They're part of the problem that caused it. They covered up Joe Biden so he could actually create more trafficking victims. Here's more on Todd Blanche. Okay, here's articles on Todd Blanche, acting U.S. Attorney General Todd Blanche. He agreed to meet. He met with the group of survivors of sex offender Jeffrey Epstein after the retiring senator, Thom Tillis, he's the Republican in North Carolina who's the fraud trying to gum up Trump just because he's bitter on the way out, said his condition to support Blanche's appointment to the permanent position was the nominee to speak to them face to face. So he spoke to them face to face. And how did it go? Did it help? Of course not. You never do what these leftist weirdo creeps want.
It was not productive. It was a lot of, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. You should go back to the FBI. And it just felt like, okay, well, we have a half hour, air your grievances. Great, I met with survivors. It's like, that's not what we're asking for.
He never should have agreed to this, because these survivors are scammers making millions of dollars on their non-disclosure agreements, protecting perpetrators. They get to keep their money as long as they're quiet. That's why they won't actually give the names of the people who assaulted them, because they're getting paid. If they really cared about victims and stopping this forever, they could come up with the names, and they won't.
We're asking for investigations. We have been it's so exhausting to keep saying the same things. Like, America doesn't want to hear the same things over and over again. We just want action.
I want action of you just giving us a name.
It was demoralizing. It felt like more political posturing and using survivors the way that we've been used as political pawns.
Yeah, you allowed yourself to be used. Todd Blanche never should have met with you. It would have been much less, because look at her, she's crying, she's damaged. Democrats wanted her to be damaged more. They're never going to be satisfied, guys. This is all political theater. And by the way, Todd Blanche has done more for Jeffrey Epstein's victims than anyone else, and yet they have made him the bad guy.
Why is it the Democrats are getting away with trying to tarnish Donald Trump and now Todd Blanche with Epstein allegations?
That's an excellent question. I mean, Todd Blanche is personally responsible for more disclosure of Epstein material than about any executive branch official ever. He personally helped disclose almost millions of documents personally here. And I'm also, we talk about these Epstein victims. This is criminal conduct that supposedly occurred almost 20 years ago. And Epstein himself, obviously, is no longer with us, and Ghislaine Maxwell is in jail. And there keeps being this insinuation that there's some sort of cover up, that there's these individuals who also participated in it who haven't been named. Well, these victims would know who they are, right? They're the people who supposedly victimized them.
They could have said it on camera right now. They could have named the names, but they're protecting the perpetrators.
Just say their names in public and we could prosecute them, but that just hasn't happened. It's a very bizarre set of circumstances here.
It's not bizarre when you know that they're getting paid through non-disclosure agreements that they all signed so they could get money.
And so there's a number of reasons why it's hard to take the Democrats seriously on this issue, but
I'll give you the biggest reason. By the end of this video, you'll see why the Democrats are actually responsible for the largest expansion of human trafficking in American history. They do not care about victims. Tom Tillis does not care about Todd Blanche at all. This is purely him being a very small man.
They didn't disclose a single document when they were in full control of the Department of Justice during Biden's term. They could have. It was President Trump and Todd Blanche who did.
Yeah, President Trump is the hero of saving children's lives, and I'll prove that to you too. But first, remember, the Democrats have to control this narrative. This is them upset that Todd Blanche tells the truth, that the Biden administration did it on purpose, in full knowledge. They encouraged the release of these children into American trafficking. And he is bold. He's being actually the only truth teller in the room. And the media is trying to get him to take back that he said that Biden administration encouraged it.
To say that it was encouraged, though, is quite a charge. I mean, what evidence do you have of that?
What evidence of what?
To say that it was encouraged, this behavior, is quite a charge.
Well, you can insert whatever word you want. I said encourage. If you know there's a problem and you're in a position of leadership to stop it and you don't stop it, what word should I use? I mean, I use the word encouraged. If it isn't as if this was a single day problem. You have a situation that happened over a number of years. They knew it was happening. It was brought to their attention. It was happening.
Tom Tillis knew. Joe Biden knew. Ro Khanna knew. And Thomas Massie knew. Everyone that went after Trump, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and said that he didn't do anything about the Epstein files, they all knew about the active current victims, not 40-year-old bags that happened like many, many years ago. They knew about the current ones today. Hundreds of thousands more than were injured involving Epstein. And they said nothing. That's why Todd Blanche is telling the truth, saying they encouraged it. You were for it. And you in the media covered it up.
And they didn't do anything to stop it. As a matter of fact, when you look at the end of 2024, and there were 300,000, like you just think in your mind that number and that number of young children, and then we had no idea where they were in this country. I mean, I continue to use the word encourage. So
yeah, keep using the word encourage. Double down on a good man. That's how you fight it. You shouldn't be meeting with those victims. Here's the final kind of unpacking of the whole thing with RFK Jr. specifically talking about how the Biden administration did this, how it was deliberate.
A lot of people don't know about like 300 and something thousand children.
375,000 kids were lost.
375,000 children were lost.
These are kids that came across the border without their parents.
What parent sends a 14-year-old across the border, a little girl, a little boy? What parent does that already? So I also blame those illegals because number one, they'll say America's a racist. We're terrible to the poor. We're terrible to illegals. Then they send their children here unaccompanied by an adult on purpose, so they'd have to be placed with a pimp or whoever received them. They did this too. Their parents are evil. Their countries are evil. Their culture is evil. And in America, Democrats are evil for promoting it. The media is evil for covering it up. And the only superhero in this whole thing who saved these little Mexican and illegal children is Donald Trump and Tom Homan. And they should be worshiping him, saying, you are the savior of children. And Todd Blanche.
Some of them were being sex trafficked. Some of them were anchors so that they could come and then their parents would come later. But there was a lot of different reasons people were sending kids across. And when they got to the border, they would be detained by by my agency, which has a division called the Refugees and Resettlement. And my agency was in front of them. The head of that agency, Xavier Becerra, who's now the front runner for governor in California. When Biden came in, So as soon as we get them, let's release them to whoever comes. So these people were coming to pick them up and saying, I'm the parent. One guy pretended to be the parent of 42 children. Picked everyone out. We have no idea what happened to those kids. Why did a guy need 42 children who were completely unrelated to him? There was no validation, no verification, no attempt to see who it was taking the kid. They lost track of 375,000 kids. We're now finding them. We found about 137,000 of them, but a lot of them you just can't find. There was about 60 kids who were sent to one address. When we looked at that address, it was a container, a steel container in the middle of a parking lot, picking fruits in the fields and doing these other kind of
slaves.
They were slaves.
The number one creator of slavery in modern America is the Democrat Party. Just let that sink in, guys. All your Democrat good friends, even Christian Democrats go, we can't vote for Trump. We're not a racist. No, the racist slave creators is the modern Democrat Party today. The greatest, the biggest example of slavery that exists today solely exists because of Democrat leadership. You cannot put an X next to a Democrat.
So we stopped that. Now everybody who comes in has to validate the relationship. We DNA test them to make sure they're related to that kid.
Right.
None of that was done during the Biden administration. And, it's a huge, huge tragedy.
Yeah, the Biden administration did it, and now they're busted. They got caught. We're calling them out. They created slavery. They trafficked kids. They do not care about the Epstein victims at all, and they're only going after Todd Blanche because he works for Trump, and Trump and Todd Blanche have done more for victims than the Biden administration ever did, and all those Democrats supported Joe Biden. I'm Doug, in exile.